Hello there, welcome to the channel. This is Rex Nebula. Today we will be talking about the gurrat. So what is the Grand Unified Rat? The gurrat. Well, the gurrat is a rat that strives to rationalize and explain all of the baffling news coming out of nijien for the past year. True beauty of the gurrat, however, is in its simplicity and elegance. It's able to tie together most of the verifiable information we know, several separate instances, and crucially, do so without at any point invoking shadowy unknown management characters, pulling the strings or assuming unbelievable stupidity, cartoonish, Machiavellian malice, or irrational behavior without obvious motivations that other rats require. The core of the rat is as follows. Nijien launches in May 2021 with their first wave Lazulite. At this time, it's a small branch without dedicated staff. However, we know that at this time, members of the recently disbanded NIjisanji India branch, specifically ex-Liver were being used as nijien management. Source provided is a video showing Finana talking about her interview process where she met the ex-Liver. However, quickly the nijien branch outgrew its small staff. Obsidia, Etheria, Luxium, and Noctix debuted within less than a year. JP management couldn't speak English, and there weren't enough English-speaking staff to manage all the new talents as the popularity of the branch exploded. To make matters worse, in mid-2022, half of the nijien managers and staff left to found and subsequently bankrupt a failed NFT company. Some of the ex-India talents were promoted further upward. Allegedly, talents were at this point effectively self-governing. Avoiding involving the ineffective upper management whenever possible. By the time ex-Soleil debuted in December 2022, official management had become the most vestigial, with single 2-week-old hires as the manager for the entire branch. Source quoted is One Girl Story, Sayu. Note, the original source of the leak indicated that this may have happened in 2022 instead. However, the earliest available web archive of Yacht Labs, basically the NFT website, was from July 2022. Also, throughout this time, bilingual talents were being used as translators and go-betweens for the English-speaking talents to communicate with the Japanese-speaking management. The source is Sayu's interview with False ID, February 5th, which is pretty recent. As the number of English-speaking staff decreased and the number of livers exploded, these liaisons started to become more and more important to the operations of the branch, with the nijien talents having to go through them to communicate with JP upper management. Chief among these was Dai-senpai Elira Pendora, bilingual, who already had other friends Nepo hired into the company. As time goes on, to cut out the middleman of needing to constantly send things back and forth between the glickily slow JP managers via translations, more and more managerial duties are effectively delegated to these liaison talents themselves, with Elira then sub-delegating to other trusted talents, her friends. Eventually, there is effectively a shadow bureaucracy of manager talents headed by Elira in charge of organizing projects, getting permissions, translating, commissioning contractors, etc. As a result, a natural favoritism system is established, creating a toxic work environment where talents who are on good terms with Elira and the shadow management are able to get their projects fast-tracked, and those who aren't are able to be stonewalled, mired in bureaucracy, unless they can speak Japanese, communicate directly with upper management. By the start of 2023, the year of near constant nijien yabs, the insane are effectively running the asylum. So before we continue, I just want to stress that this is a speculative work of fiction. The author of the gurrat has specifically said that he never intended this entire assumption essay to blow up the way it did, and he's apologized for it. He took down the website, and what we're reading is basically the second website, which was created by a third party, who is not the original author. Right, the disclaimer's over. Let's continue. So where does Selen come in? Selen was ambitious. He had near constant projects and always needed to follow up with management on some commission or idea or video. He was, by all accounts, at least a little bit difficult to work with and not suited to a Japanese workplace environment or tolerant of bureaucracy. He was the most successful female talent. He was Elira's law sister, but seemingly they didn't personally get along. She didn't participate in the secret GC stream. Selen couldn't speak Japanese and thus had to rely on the shadow management liaisons as the go-between for her numerous highly involved projects. She openly criticized management and went behind their backs to get things done. She was probably a pain in their collective asses, while also being more successful than them in her streaming career. Throughout that time, Selen felt stifled by management and correctly recognized the obvious favoritism, where others would quickly get approval for things she couldn't, or be offered sponsorships she was cut out of, despite being the biggest female liver. He tried to work with them, but constantly was stonewalled with red tape and felt singled out for special harassment. Selen's projects were often axed or mired in bureaucracy and delayed for no clear reason. As a result, she started going out herself to get her own permissions, sponsors, and commissions, which bothered the clique even more and caused them to turn down or sabotage her self-organized projects for not getting prior approval through them. Public hints of the same from Selen's tweets. Things came to a head with the Last Cup of Coffee music video, which was important to Selen and had been in the works for a long time, with her having to directly go chase down permissions because management wouldn't do it. When she was given the runaround once again, it was the last straw and she went rogue. This culminates in her multiple attempts on her life, termination, and reincarnation as Doki Bird. Now, why should I believe the gurrat? Simply put, the gurrat explains and ties together most of the otherwise inexplicable actions of Nijisanji management. While originally intended to explain Elira's black screen stream, Anons discovered that it fits together numerous pieces of otherwise confusing information. Starting with the black screen stream, this gives plausible motivations for Elira's actions. Unlike other rats, which require a cabal of 40 IQ managers holding a gun to her head to release a disastrous statement undercutting their own CEO, or Elira to be such an evil, petty psychopath that she willingly self-destructed for no discernible reason other than sheer spite, this rat gives her multiple plausible, understandable motivations. Elira was afraid of the contents of Doki's document, which show a history of gross managerial misconduct, and was attempting to preemptively discredit it and do damage control. She was caught between the public and Japanese management and trying to cover her own ass rather than the company's reputation. Elira was frustrated and defensive because it was her and her friends personally, not some random Japanese middle manager who she believes Doki disrespected. She volunteered her own channel because, as a leader, she should take the bullet for her own mistakes. Japanese management of Nijisanji told her to clean up her mess, etc. It also explains how she and Vox got a hold of the supposedly confidential documents. As effective management, Vox and Elira will have been privy to it, maybe even used to translate it. It explains why Elira, Anna, and Millie's names were specifically listed in that document. They were the most responsible for the managerial bullying. It explains the obviously spiteful timing of that announcement and the tone of the contents therein, which were extremely unprofessional and would never have been something a random PR manager with no skin in the game would endorse. It explains as well how she got a hold of those screenshots on Discord without running her insane plan through actual adult managers. It explains why the other talents in nijien are so ass-blasted about Selen giving the middle managers trouble in the first place. It explains why there is such an obvious night and day difference between Elira's black screen video statement and Riku's statement, which, by its tone, went through an actual PR auditing. The clashing of contents between both statements signals that Elira's and Riku's videos are not planned by the same management team with similar goals. It explains how they were able to bully Selen in the first place. Bully someone, you need power over them. It also explains some of the oddities around the original termination statement, in particular the bizarre wording of the following statement. Selen claimed that she was being harassed by other affiliated livers due to mismanagement, which was the first instance of anyone mentioning bullying by livers. Previously, it had seemed that Selen's issues were primarily with management. The statement at face value also makes little sense, as how can the livers bully Selen Tatsuki due to mismanagement? If the livers and management are effectively one and the same, this all makes more sense. It also explains why they would even bring up the other livers. It explains the clearly vindictive and unprofessional nature of the termination letter in general, as again, it feels almost personal. It explains the rationale behind Millie's infamous tweet. Other rats require Millie to be the dumbest person alive or a sociopathic cartoonish bully, publicly taunting Selen for no reason whatsoever. Through the lens of the gurrat, though, it makes a lot more sense. He is responding out of a frustration for Selen ignoring management and trying to defend management because management is her and her friends. One of the biggest strengths of the RRAT is that it doesn't require projecting to ascribe motivations to anyone, any jaw-dropping stupidity, or any 4D chess. Elira could be a stone-cold bitch queen, but she could also be simply incompetent, casually nepotistic, or even a genuinely hard-working leader who thinks he's doing the right thing for her branch, and it still doesn't change the RRAT. Selen could be a total menhera, or completely innocent, and the RRAT works all the same. We don't need to know the reason Elira dislikes Selen. It could be because she's hard to work with, or pure jealousy, but the RRAT still works. Further evidence, Elira was overrepresented in official promotions, non-group Lazulite merchandise releases compared to the more popular Pomu. Some anons discovered that Elira is vastly overrepresented in official promotions where only one member of each generation is featured. It was alleged as strange that despite Pomu being the more popular Lazulite member and face of the branch, and her merch selling the most in almost every case, Elira is the most featured by a wide margin. Based on the total count, Elira received 9 promotions, Pomu received 2, Inanna received 2. Additional suspicious instances are the Sanrio collab, which Selen really wanted to participate in, but was denied. The Hype PC cases, which again were collabs Selen really wanted and were perfect for her image as the nijien gamer girl, but instead went to Rosemi, Elira, and Enna. Anyone who has the sources for these on hand, please add. Anons also suggested that it was hypocritical when Selen was given only 1 day to respond to a request to appear in a voice pack and denied for replying only an hour late. When management took over 37 hours to watch her 3-minute Last Cup of Coffee music video, suggested that Selen may have intentionally been informed late about the voice pack opportunity. This is speculation. For more detailed analysis into the merch distribution among livers, please consult the DG merch RRAT. Now, how does this fit with the other RRATs? The Luca skin-walking shitshow and the Scarlet Aster drama. This explains partially the Scarlet Aster screenshots being in possession of Luca and then Raziel knowing about Aster harassing the other livers. If this effectively self-governing system was in place, it explains why Scarlet would go to Luca with her problems instead of an actual manager, because by this point, issues are now being handled internally by other talents. Luca then screenshots it to send to Raziel to ask for advice, and she leaks it with the rest of her Luca manifesto. The Zion execution. We know that at the time of the Zion termination, the self-management system was in place, and her termination shares many similarities with the Selen debacle. In Sayu's One Girl's Story document, she notes that one of the things he was in trouble for was going above management's head to talk to a higher manager directly, which initially makes zero sense, but when you consider the gurrat, it starts to make sense. Sayu is Japanese and is a fluent Japanese speaker. He would be able to jump over the shadow bureaucracy, talk directly with the JP managers. This obviously ruffled feathers. Another interesting detail is that apparently Exolale's branch manager was a 2-week-old hire, who was effectively a puppet of someone higher up. She says, anytime I had a call with our manager to discuss something, the manager was also there, and it was pretty much just me asking him stuff while she sat there and nodded her head. It was a bizarre situation indeed. Zion's termination letter, when taken at face value, reads as a hypocritical litany of purported abuses that other prominent members would also be guilty of if the same standard had been applied to everyone in NIjisanji. At the time, it seemed like Nijien's management was leveling every possible accusation against her, justify removing her from the organization. It was also inferred that the management, seemingly out of spite, was aiming to use the claims made in the termination letter to ruin her reputation as a VTuber. But in light of the RRAT, her termination letter may also be understood as a deliberate attempt to poison the well, smearing and discrediting her before she could come to the public with incriminating information on Nijien and the misconduct of its shadowy de facto management. As events turned out, Sayu's testimony did not even go as far as to directly implicate any of her fellow livers in unethical practices or illicit activities. Nevertheless, her credibility was damaged by the spurious allegations made against her. Had she made specific claims about talents or managerial misconduct, the material in her termination letter would have been used to ridicule her assertions. We now reach the curiosities section of the Grand Unifying RRAT. Here are some of the other interesting coincidences in RRAT's and anons have discovered. These are mostly unproven and of a more speculative nature than the main rat, but nonetheless add some interesting context. Important to note, however, that you do not need to believe all or any of the below rats for the main rat to work. It stands on its own. These are merely additional bits of information to consider. We have the Selen Discord leaks. On December 30th, 2023, the above screenshots purported to be leaks from a private artist's Discord Selen used to organize projects were first posted in Selen's AHA thread on VT. At the time, they were dismissed as obvious fakes. However, the idea from the second screenshot that the inclusion of the ex-livers was the reason for the video being made private is considered more realistic and spread around. Now though, most of the information found in that second leak has been proven correct by the termination notice and the screenshots leaked by Vox in the black screen stream, despite these details not being public or widely discussed at the time of the original posting. The decorations, question mark and sweat drops were also found to identically match those on Doki's Discord avatar, seen in her manager Mr. Man, Dorvrin's cow tweet. Following this validation, some anons remember that there was actually a first screenshot posted shortly before the second, originally on a separate thread, see below, which was considered to be too outlandish and dark to be real at the same time. However, once it was recovered, we can see how the information in it closely aligns with what has since come to light. If this screenshot is real, it paints a very dark picture, and additionally, puts the statement regarding graduation by Vox in a new light. The contents of the leaks are as follows. Sometime during the making of the music video, Selen was confronted by multiple fellow nijien members telling her to graduate, and some even further requesting her leave the company entirely, as Selen brings nothing good to the branch or face resentment by the majority of the people in the branch. The reason for privating the video was a new rule, which made explicit permission required from every liver present in the video, no matter the context, which was a problem for two reasons. Some livers demanded to not be a part of the music video after she had included them, despite knowing the disdain most had for her, if the first leak is to be trusted, because she wished for the song to be for all of nijien. Ex-nijien talents were now prohibited from appearing in any form. These have the following implications. Contrary to the leaks by Vox, the problem wasn't just that he would have to remove ex-livers, but also many current livers. He said this after the video went private and thus after the Vox leaks, which likely implies that there is missing context. It might imply that the rule was only selectively kept since ex-livers had been referenced in other recent past works. Selen wanted to keep the music video in its original state for it to be released on Christmas as a gift, which, with above, may have been what drove her to go rogue. There are two competing theories about these screenshots. One is that they are in fact exactly as described, and the second is that they may not be what they are purported to be, but clearly do still contain insider information. In the second case, the screenshots aren't actual Discord messages by Selen in an art Discord, but fabricated and leaked as a cry for help by Selen herself or someone else with insider information. Either way, the factuality of these messages or existence of this insider information is supported by posts such as these, which imply artists on a project were beholden to some unofficial knowledge which they want to be kept private. Regardless, the sheer accuracy and unique information of the leaks over a month in advance of her termination and the Discord avatar provide a strong case for the validity of the leaked messages. The next curiosity is that Millie was the manager in the screenshots leaked by Vox, and Anon believes that the person checking Selen's last cup of coffee video was in fact a talent liaison rather than a manager, and specifically that it may be Millie, most likely now debunked. Several other names have been tried and has been shot down with image forensics or logical deduction. This line of inquiry is most likely a nothing burger, and it's just random junior staff. Our next curiosity is the Canadian manager job posting and other Niji job listings. The above job listing was posted by NIjisanji and noticed during the initial Selen termination controversy. Viewed through the lens of the gurrat, it has some interesting implications. Elira, as we know, just moved to Japan, and connecting these facts gives us a few options. The job posting is being backfilled as Elira is being officially promoted to a high position. Elira has been sacked, told to stay in her lane by management following the Selen debacle, and is being replaced by an official manager. JP has taken notice of the mess that's happening in nijien and is cleaning house and cracking down. Job posting is intended as a golden parachute for talent management. Step back streaming and become official staff members. Likewise, several other Nijisanji EN job postings have been recently found, which are worth considering. Some interesting bits of information in them are that they intend to pay trilingual professional who fluently speaks 3 languages a Japanese minimum wage, less than $8 an hour. Many of the job postings don't require English ability at all. We are nearing the end. This is the final timeline for the gurrat. December 26, Selen posts the MV. He is suspended on the spot. Around December 26 or 27th, Selen Tatsuki makes an attempt on her life. December 28, Elira makes the health issues in my family tweet. Some speculate this is when she found out about the suicide attempt. On December 28 till February 4th, Selen and her lawyer go back and forth with NIjiJP management trying to find a way to part amicably, but it goes nowhere. January 26, Dokibird seeks neutral parting, soon graduation. February 5th, Elira lands in Japan. February 5th, later on, Selen's lawyer sends her document to Niji's lawyers detailing everything that was happening to her in the company, including bullying and preferential treatment. February 5th, termination notice goes up. From this point on, all communication between Nijisanji and Selen, now Dokibird, ceases. On February, during an unknown date, possibly February 5th and just prior to Selen's termination, Elira is notified of the contents of the document. Whatever is inside this document scares her. Specifically, she is worried about her, Millie and Anna being doxxed and their safety being threatened. Elira later gets Vox and Ike together, record their statement for the stream. This is the infamous black screen stream. February 6th till February 11th. Absolute fucking chaos. But by the end, Dokibird just wants to move on and be done with the whole situation so she can focus on streaming. February 13th, Elira drops the stream, attempting to throw Doki under the bus. Hours later, Nijisanji CEO Riku Tazumi prostrates himself before the masses, vows to sort out whatever the fuck is happening in nijien. February 14th, Dokibird tweets, response to Elira stream. Well, that's the end of the gurrat. Now know why the gurrat is so respectable among various communities. I guess we should end this video by looking at the response that the gurrat community has against recent response to the gurrat, which the President Usagi has dubbed the anti-rat equation. Recently, a document has been posted by the sisters attempting to discredit the current discussion surrounding the Selen, Doki, and Nijisanji situation. I will not link it here. It is important to note that the people spreading this document view the world only within the framework of friend versus enemy. They are attempting to appeal to your rationality and desire to hear both sides only because they are losing in the current narrative dialectic. If the situation were reversed and instead you were attempting to use reason to convince them of an alternative worldview, they would spare you no quarter and attack you relentlessly. Please recognize that they are taking advantage of your good nature to attack what you hold dear. They will never reciprocate your good intentions. There are some people in the world who now they are unpurged and reduced to an equality with other people, under strong and very apprehension of being further treated as they deserve. Begin with Aesop's cock to preach up peace and union and Christian duty, moderation, forgetting that when they had the power in their hands, those graces were strangers in their gates. This was a quote from The Shortest Way with the Dissenters, Daniel Defoe. Before we end the video, please don't harass anyone. Remember, the Grand Unified Rat may be an interesting read, but it is still speculative fiction at the end of the day. Take what you've heard with a grain of salt. Don't harass livers, don't harass Dokibird, don't harass the people who are against Dokibird. Anyway, that's the end of the video. This has been Rex Nebula, signing out.